Legal disclaimer. The following is a hypothetical story from my past. The names and places may have been changed to protect the guilty. Let's get to it.
This one continues right where the last one left off. We had,
Slick Jimmy?
whatever we called him, he had just finished running away successfully from the police, okay?
Slick Jimmy.
So this is the very next evening. Slick Jimmy is in the hotel room, the same hotel room that he ran to. He gives me a buzz, chirp, chirp, and he's like, hey, I need some help with something. Can you come over? When I get there, he's changing hotel rooms. So he's in a hotel room and he's moving 2 doors down. So he's got a box in his hand. So I grab another box. So we're walking down to that room we're moving to, and we see 2 police officers coming up the steps. So Slick Jimmy, as slick as he is, he didn't miss a beat. He just started walking down the steps, right? So I followed behind him. The police, they passed right by us, but it wasn't but 3 seconds later you hear, hey, they were there for Slick Jimmy, right? So nonetheless, they nab him up. He gets arrested on a warrant, but they don't know he's Slick Jimmy from last night, right? He's Slick Jimmy the dirtbag that they're already looking for, right? They let me go, but I go into the hotel room and another police officer searching it, right? So he doesn't find anything except for a glass water pipe, we'll call it. So he goes, all right, this is going to be another charge for your buddy. And I'm like, man, I can go right down the road. It had no bowl or anything in it. I go, I can go right down the road and buy this at the smoke shop. Why is this a charge? And he goes, I bet you if I test that little bit of water in the bottom, it's going to test positive for THC.
Yep.
Little did he know, it would have tested positive for a lot more than that if he would have actually tested it. So I was like, all right, he gets, what do they call it?
Misdemeanor, marijuana charge.
Paraphernalia charge.
Paraphernalia. 523.50.
There you go. But dirtbags around me. So now I'm left in the hotel room with this broad, okay? And what I didn't know is I wouldn't see her again for like 7 years. I would wind up being in an intense relationship with her for like 2 years and not even know that was the same girl till after our relationship was done. Her name started with an S and she was crazy.
Yep.
Remember that, Brad?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who could forget her?
So me and this crazy ass bitch are sitting in this hotel room and she's like, hey, his stash is down in his car. See, they kept asking where his vehicle was. And he's like, I didn't drive here. She's like, he didn't drive here, da-da-da-da-da. And so she had his keys. And when the police asked her about him, she knows those are my house keys, whatever. You know, she's a liar. You know, she figured that one out.
Professional.
So she says, look, there's a substantial amount stashed in his vehicle. And the police, they're looking for his vehicle. We need to get it out of here. And I'm like, we? Like we're on like the 10th floor and they're having overlapping patrols. Like there's no we in this scenario, you know?
Right.
So as it turns out, there might've been. So fast forward to the morning, once this was on range line, once the morning traffic starts coming in, the traffic starts thickening up. I go downstairs and I lay down in the vehicle and then I wait for her to call me saying the officer just drove by. And so I take off like a bat out of hell going south and I hit the highway, right? And I tried to buzz all the way around to a buddy of mine's house who lived on like 36 and Joplin, somewhere around there. He's supposed to be there so I can put the car in the garage. He's not there.
Uh-oh.
So now I got to take the keys. I put them like underneath a plant or something, and I'm just sitting there on his front porch. So this white Buick pulls up, okay? Older fella. He's like, hey, Travis, come here. And I'm like, no, you know? Anyways, he's like, you know, I know you, I know your buddy, da-da-da. I got this plan. I want to take over the city. And he starts spelling out how he's going to run the dope game and all this. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. So we're just going to leave it at that. Matter of fact, I got to go to the store. You know, I'll give you a ride. No. So I walk to the store. It's a 15-minute walk. So sure enough, I'm in the parking lot. He pulls back in. Okay. So this broad daylight. He's sitting in the driver's seat. Bear in mind, I can see into the back seat where he has like a milk crate container, and it's full like vanilla envelopes, you know, like files.
Yeah.
So he pulls out a brand new rose tube. So anyone who was raised right, rose tube is a way that they could legally sell dope pipes, right?
Yep.
Just a clear glass tube. And he has some of his own stuff. So he puts a little bit of his stuff, broad daylight, parking lot full, puts a little bit in there, starts smoking, okay? But he doesn't know what he's doing. It's popping, it's crackling, it's 4th of July in there. And I'm like, all right, buddy, well, good talking to you. I got to go. And he's like, no, I need the re-up, da-da-da. Eventually, I just wound up walking away. So a little bit later, my buddy shows up. We hide the car until Slick Jimmy gets out of jail later that evening. So Slick Jimmy calls me and he's like, hey, someone kicked in my door while I was locked up, while I was in jail for the day. I can't leave. Is there any way you can bring the car to me? So I had my buddy, he had a vehicle. I'm like, it's like a 4-minute drive. Sure. So my buddy tells me, making sure no one else gets behind me. We get it over to his house. He's like, yeah, man, somebody broke in. But he had this like crude, like dopehead CCTV type surveillance, you know? So you could see the driveway, the front and back door, the road, like everything. So we're sitting there looking at the damage, and then he shows me the video. And we couldn't see who the person was, but we could see the vehicle. And can you guess whose vehicle it was?
I want to say it was a white Buick.
It was a white Buick. And I never pieced that one together. I don't know if that was a stick-up kid, if that was an informant, if that was part of the squad. I don't know what that was, but it's not over. So he goes and gets his stash out of the car. And by stash, I'm talking it was like I would not be here today if I would have got pulled over on that ride type stash. So anywho, we're sitting there on the couch and we're talking, and all of a sudden we hear banging on both front and back door at once. And we know instantly who that is, right? That's the police coming back for round deuce. He takes his stash and he's like, I gotta hide this. And he hands me a bang bang. Okay, and he's like, they can't be in the same place. In his mind, they can be in the same house, they can't be in the same place. So he goes, stash it. And I don't know if they're about to come through the door. He goes this way, so I go this way, which happened to be the kitchen. So I open up the stove, and it had like this cage in the top of it that I think maybe housed the heating element. And I put the bang up there, shut the stove. He stashed wherever he stashed. Police wind up coming in, running through the whole place, and they didn't find either thing, okay? No bang, no sniff. So I wind up leaving. I'm like, I've had enough, you know what I mean? I'm just done now. I'm on paper as being around these. I'm done. So I go home, and a few days passes, and I didn't have a cell phone at this time, and Slick Jimmy pulls up to the house. I was living at a skinny man's house. Slick Jimmy pulls up, and he's like, dude, where the hell did you put that?
Shit.
It's been in the oven for 3 days. Luckily, no one in that house enjoyed eating. Could you imagine in a residential area? So for 2.5, 3 days.
The oven just starts popping off rounds.
Yeah, no one had any pizza bites. No one had anything, right? But it's just, and reflecting on some of these stories for these segments, it's like, it was such an insane time period where like, we thought if we got away on Tuesday, on Wednesday, we were fine.
Right.
You know, it was all about living in the moment. Yeah, we ran. Yeah, we did this, we did that, but we got away and we were good. And I guess it's good to say everyone I rolled with in that time period that I still know, all of them got out of that except for one. That's Slick Jimmy. Slick Jimmy's behind bars. And he got, I don't even remember, it was like a 15 or 18 year sentence, you know? It was insane. But yeah, and for us, it wound up being a phase that we grew out of. But for, 1 in every 5, I guess it would be, it's not a phase. No. It winds up being a lifetime. And that's always what I've thought. If you make it to your 30s or even late 20s and you're still involved in that life, you are a lifer. Yep. That is where you're going to be. You're going to be just like my deadbeat brother, and that's how you're going to live life forever. These stories are exhausting and things I probably shouldn't be publicly saying on the internet. However, this is all hypothetical and none of it really happened.
That's right.
But there's no hypotheticals in the fact we will be back in the same 2 seats, same 2 assholes next Wednesday.
Non-apologetic nonsense.